Welcome to another episode of the Elevated Barbers Podcast. My name is Brad, the business-minded barber, and I'm the owner of Another Level of Barbering and the proud co-host of the one, the only Elevated Barbers Podcast. And I'm here with my man.
This is Delmar, aka The Prince, owner of Royal Luxe Grooming and co-host of the one and only Elevated Barbers Podcast. Let's start the show.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, we are here with episode 4 of season 2, and as we have promised, we told you all that we was going to be having special guests each and every episode. Episode 1, we have Barber June. Episode 2, we have FaZe Bar Armani. Episode 3, we had Lisi, Lady Barber. And episode 4, we have a stud from ATL. You all know him as MattyBladezzz. Bring him to the stage, Delmar.
What's going on, fellas? How's it going today?
It's
going
going.
Thanks for having me on.
Tender? You came in all tender after I hyped you like that.
He dropped
How
the
you guys
alley.
doing today? I had to work today. I don't know about you guys, but I had to work today. Huh?
Oh yeah, no, I was off, so I got all the energy in the world, man.
Right?
Now, I do want to say before we start, I feel honored to be the only barber on this podcast that got hair.
Right.
But we can't see it through that Adidas cap you got on.
It's all right, you know it's there.
Oh, I see the hairline is okay. We good.
That's all right.
I think strong,
to
man.
join
I think
company
strong.
soon?
I'm trying to get people to convert to being bald.
Man, Delmar, he did it. He did it for
I
like
did it
2
several
weeks.
times. No,
He
it
did
was
it for-
longer than 2 weeks.
Was it?
Longer than, yeah, it was longer than 2 weeks. So the first time I did it was the first time I found out my mom had cancer. So she had to shave off her hair. So I did it with her. And then the second time after she passed last year, I rocked the bald head for a few months. But then my skin started getting
You're
irritated, so
honored.
I had to let the hair grow back. Yeah, it was my way of honoring her.
When my dad got cancer, that's why I initially shaved my head.
Mm.
And but I mean, my dad hated it, so I kind of was like, at the beginning, I was like, I'm kind of making excuses. He doesn't like this, but he actually kept his hair pretty solid.
Really?
He was kind of like Richie Aprile in The Sopranos. He was like, he kept his hair the whole time. Yeah.
Did he
But
carry
yeah,
a comb in his front pocket?
he did not. My grandfather did. My
Really?
grandfather did. Yeah, he was definitely that type. The 50s, old school, like
Yeah. Comb back, Pat
Oh,
Riley.
yeah, 100%.
That is funny, man. But let's get this episode started, MattyBladezzz. First off, how did you get the name MattyBladezzz? How did that come into fruition?
Me and my guys were in barber school one day, and we're kind of plotting and scheming on how we're gonna say, hey, we need to, everyone kind of makes their like own barber page. I was always like, I'm not gonna throw away these like followers I've gained throughout my whole time being on Instagram. So I was just like, I'm just gonna change my name, and I picked MattyBladezzz. Like my guy picked Tony Shears. He was actually on my podcast. And I can't remember, someone else may have picked something as well, but that's kind of where it all stemmed from. Just our time in barber school, wanting to be a little more active on social media and Instagram. So that's where it all started.
That's tight, man. So you're still connected to the people that you went to barber school with?
Oh man, it's a bond that's like stronger than most marriages sometimes. Like it's,
Unfortunately, that's
yeah.
that's a real situation, man.
It's one of the few people that understand what we go through, the people we're in barber school with. So
Yeah.
that's always what I took from it,
Yeah.
And it's just like a barber thing too. Like you guys, it's like a brotherhood like no other,
Yeah. Yeah, Brad was the one who got me started, man.
You got you into the Instagram game or what?
No, he got me into the barbering industry because I saw him when we was younger. Brad like 10 years older than me, so
Right.
he inspired a young lad like myself to pick up the clippers and start cutting.
And then Brad got on Instagram not too long ago, right? And then
I got on 2015, late
2015.
bloomer. Yeah,
That's
very
still not
late bloomer.
terribly late, but it's still pretty late.
Yeah, I mean,
Now he's elevating.
They didn't have Instagram for Androids yet.
Oh my god,
Oh,
See,
man.
he be throwing shots, man. Like
Man.
it's y'all Apple users, man.
the
Y'all done
Android
something-
hate.
why did something wrong?
What
Y'all
about
just
your
can't Let us
laptop?
live, man. Let us live. What's wrong? Why y'all gotta always tease us? Huh?
Y'all late to the party, man.
No, y'all early. Y'all early.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
One of the things that we like to do on this podcast, MattyBladezzz, is appreciate people for what they do and who they are, and how they've grown and how they've elevated in the industry and how they also are helping others to elevate. One of the things that I'm aware of, one, because I was a guest on your show, is the fact that you have a podcast of your own. So one, could you plug your own podcast for a second? But then let's get into the history of how you became a podcast host and how you started to do that, your motive behind it, the history behind it, the story behind it, and let's tap in.
Yeah. So first off, it's called the Your Barber Podcast. It's available on all platforms. YouTube's the main driving audience I try to push. But yeah, I promote it on my Instagram as well at MattyBladezzz. But yeah, initially the podcast, it started Super Bowl Sunday. This last February was the first episode. And back in November, I kind of had a feeling, a thought. I was just like, you know, there's not a lot of barber podcasts out here going on. And I feel like I could fill a void almost. And then I was like, you know, I started doing my little Googles and research, and I was like, I was like, just typed in barber podcasts, and this top 50 list popped up. And I was like,
oh, wow,
damn, that's a lot of podcasts. 50. I didn't imagine there was that many. So, you know, I kind of had that seed planted a little bit, and had a co-host in mind, just as you guys do. I was kind of trying to go this format.
Yeah.
He's, you know, he's a busy fella himself, so I kind of put it on the back burner. But, you know, I had that seed planted, and my thinking was, you know, barbers are people, right? Like, I want to share the person's story, not the barber's story. So I'm kind of here for the little guy, the everyday barber, first and foremost. But I wanted to call it Your Barber is a Person podcast. So I thought that was a little long-winded, so I just went Your Barber Podcast. But that was my thinking. I think, you know, something in the shop may have happened that day that I was like, you know what, we're people. We're kind of treated like robots sometimes, and like another cog in the wheel. So I just wanted to bring in that human layer of barbering and our stories and, you know, our struggles, and just trying to relate to the everyday guy and barber or person. And so that's kind of the inspiration behind it. And it's been fun, man. We just dropped episode 30 yesterday. We're recording on a Monday.
Congrats on that.
Drops on Sundays at noon Eastern time. But yeah, it was quite, I never thought I'd make it that far. You know, you sort of hit a wall like 5 episodes in. You're like, oh, what am I going to do now? Like, I got nobody to be a guest. So that's the format I've always went with. I always want to have a guest. And I did do one episode by myself. I kind of got into my story. I've never been a in front of the camera kind of guy. I've always kind of been a behind the scenes, behind the camera kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so that one was tough to do myself, like, you know, 6 or 7 episodes in. So yeah, man, it's kind of knocked down a lot of walls doing this. And I'm kind of, you know, proud of myself in a way. You know, everything's just been progressing throughout my barber career one way or another. And it's been beautiful, man. I couldn't be happier with my situation right now.
That's good. D, go ahead. I know you got some questions. I see you over there thinking.
Yeah, man, we both had a chance to be guests on your podcast, and I had a good time like being on your podcast. I know for me, I'm always the one that's behind the camera and talking. What me and Brad started the podcast before we had guests, so it was a little bit different being on the opposite side of the table, to where going from being an interviewer to being an interviewee as you are right now. You know, you're a guest on our podcast today. So
that's exactly what I said. I was like, man, this interface is like bare. I'm used to having all the control. I got nothing back here.
Yeah. That's how I felt when I was on yours. I was like, man, I have
what do I do
on the side? Like, I'm just a recipient of the show. But I love my time on your show. I think you have a good thing going. Your format and everything, like even the brand colors and how you bring in your guests with the theme music. So I think it was pretty dope.
Yeah, the copyrights are gonna hit me hard one day, but for now, we could bring it in. Just, you know, as long as you don't play the chorus. You play.
I think you could get away with a few seconds.
Yeah, 5-6 seconds, like the third verse, and then Normally, YouTube lets you get away with it. Sometimes they don't even like catch it at all. Usually, they catch it and say like, we'll allow it, but. For the most part, yeah, that's the rules you gotta play with. So and that was a learning process too.
Tell us about your barbershop. Is it your barbershop? Are you working under somebody, or what city you're located in, and how long have you been there?
So I'm a licensed barber in Atlanta, Georgia, of about 5 years. I've had my license. I've moved around a little bit. This is my final destination, hopefully. I'm in the heart of Midtown Atlanta at the barbershop is called the Anguished Barber and Bar. Yes, that's right. There's a full bar in the barbershop. I'm a proud employee. I work 4 days a week. We charge a premium price, and we have assistants and receptionists and hair sweepers, and I really don't have to lift a finger.
Hair sweepers.
Yeah. Right. AKA one person does all that stuff. So
that's hilarious.
I had to that
sound like soul playing.
Yeah.
Like one person check you in.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, they check you in. You want something to drink, you want coffee, you want water,
Man, y'all got fish in the floor?
Not quite yet. Maybe in the next one. But yeah, man, I'm used to kind of like my previous situation. I'd be in the salon all by myself and I'm running around across the room. I got to write down on the pencil and paper book from the 80s. I gotta take care of my people. And there's a lot of talk right now in the industry of 30-minute haircut, an hour haircut. How long do you take to cut a haircut? How you maximize your earnings? It was like it didn't really matter because I was running around the salon trying to answer the phone, taking down appointments for everybody. So I would tend to run a little behind. And yeah, that was a different time in my barber career. And I built a lot of confidence then. And anytime you move, your confidence just gets reset, right? It's kind of like, how do I do this again? You're like, do I know how to do this? Like, you're just like out of your body a little bit and you kind of get in your head too much. And then, you rip through a haircut or two and then you're right back where just like riding a bike.
Right. Now, what you just mentioned is pretty big because a lot of people sometimes will have to move to a different shop for whatever reason. It could be because they didn't appreciate the shop that they was at, or the shop that they was at didn't appreciate them, or just life happened and they needed to move. They needed to go. How was that process for you when it came to rebuilding? When it came to you trying to get new clientele? When it came to you getting used to new people that you have to work with? Where did you move from? Where did you move to? How many times have you had to do this? And what was that mental shift that you had to probably get used to since it was more than one time?
Yeah. So I guess this all starts. I was born in Clarksburg, West Virginia. And, I meet my wife in the college town in Morgantown. That was kind of like my first move out of my hometown to the nearest college, to WVU. It's a known big party school, college town. I meet my wife. She is the scholar. She's, she's earned her PhD and everything. She's a Spanish professor. So her work, right from the gate, just in terms of looking for where she was going to get her doctorate, was going to move us out of West Virginia to start with. So we had two options. It was going to be Gainesville, Florida, or Tempe, Arizona. So, Tempe, Arizona is in the greater Phoenix area. It's where Arizona State is. It's taken off. So, out of our scouting, we did a little bit. Like Gainesville is kind of like where we were. It's like northern Florida, just like not a lot going on there. Not, my wife is born near a beach, so she's always wanted to be near water, and that's like, it's not quite there either. We're gonna have to still drive. So chose Arizona. She chose Arizona State, and I was the brokest and alone in my entire life living in Arizona. Right. So my father had passed away the same year we moved out of West Virginia. So
pre or post move?
What's that?
Did he pass before you moved?
Pre-move, but he was very sick on his deathbed while we made that decision. So I couldn't imagine, leaving him in that condition, essentially. So it all kind of happened the way it was supposed to. And that's truth be told, that's a lot of how my barber careers went. I was thinking about that the other day. Just everything sort of aligned, and I was super blessed, and just, the universe saw how hard I was struggling and how hard I was trying to make it in Arizona. So we moved to Tempe. The whole idea was, I'm going to go to barber school. I'm going to finally attack this dream that I've always wanted to do and pursue. And it didn't quite happen as fast as I thought it would. I thought, yeah, I'll work, I'll save, and then I'll start barber school. And then I was just, getting part-time gigs. I drove for Lyft. I did some merchandising and retailers, and I just barely making ends meet, barely contributing to my share of the rent. My wife was on $16,000, graduate student stipend at the time, and she made more than I did. So,
yeah.
We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with our dog, our husky at the time. That was like the first thing we did when we got out there. We got a dog because we had kind of a month to kind of get our stuff together before we progressed forward.
Yeah.
So a year goes by, and I ended up having to make a move and take out from my father's IRA, actually, some of my father's IRA that was left to me. And because that was the only, I was like, I don't like this life of struggling and working. And you see it everywhere today. You see people working jobs just to pay bills, just to, get by. They're not going after that passion. And that is, a big problem in our society right now, it seems. Just no one really wants to take that leap. They're too safe. They're too comfortable. And then they look back, 40 years later, and then they're like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I should have took that leap. So that's what I did. It's not a sound financial decision, according to my financial advisor, but, I had to do it. I had to make this dream happen. So I had a little lump sum to start barber school. It was $1,000 you had to put down. That was for your kit. And then, I was so blessed and lucky once again to be in the barber school I was, because Mesa Barber School in Mesa, Arizona, shout out to Blanca and Manny Ramirez. They're phenomenal barber instructors and even more phenomenal people. So, they worked with me. They understood, I put down the lump sum. I expressed I could pay a little bit, but I couldn't pay it all off at the time. At the time, it was like $9,000 to start barber school, charging $7 for a haircut in the school. And so I always tell people it took me a while to get through. I was like the Van Wilder of barber school. I was like a super senior. Right? So I was super senior. I kind of saw two different, because I had to work, right? I still had to pay bills at the end of the day. So, I kind of took what I, took from that IRA. I didn't really like live off of it. I just put it straight towards the barber school.
Yeah.
So, still had to work, still had to get by. And it took me a year and a half just about to get through barber school. So I've been, like I said, I'm just now to the 5-year mark. I feel like I've been telling people for like a year plus, I've been a 5-year licensed barber. And I'm like, now I'm there. Like it felt like it just because I was in school that long.
Yeah. No, I was in school for a year and a half too, like almost 2 years myself. So I guess I also was the Van Wilder of barber college.
Dude, you may have been in longer, right?
Yeah, no, I probably was. But it's crazy because you took time to get through barber college because you had responsibilities, and yet you still wanted to see this vision come to pass.
Yeah.
I was in barber college catting off and not really understanding the power that I had in front of me. I was just kind of doing it because it wasn't even cool to do. I was doing it because it was something to say I was doing so that my mom wasn't mad at me for just being at the house. And so it's interesting because, and the thing that I'm bringing out about what you said is your perseverance, right? For you to be able to stick to this goal that you had, even though you had to press through a lot of, times that you probably wanted to spend with the family or spend with your wife. You were taking some time and going to barber school so that you can one day get this, but you couldn't spend a lot of time there because you had to work so that you could contribute to the house. And so just that balance act, man, kudos to you for being able to keep walking through all of that so that you could achieve this passion, achieve this dream. Now it's a profession for you it's supplying the needs that you have to this day. So kudos to you, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm living the dream. But yeah, it's funny you said that you're kind of just like messing around in the beginning, because you see that in every age, tier of barber student. Like you could definitely tell a big difference between the 19-year-old, the 30-year-old, the 40-year-old, the 50-year-old, and anyone that was kind of in their 30s and beyond, they sort of had, and I'm not going to say I never messed around either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there were some Saturdays I'd wake up and like, I'm not going today. I can't do it today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sometimes barbers get an anxiety about like that stuff. You know what I mean?
But not
like
Delmar, man. Delmar, he was like, he went to beauty college, man. He didn't even go to barber college. So he had a different story, man. He was always at school,
Never missed. That's good though. That's something to model after.
I never cat around, because at this stage that I was going to cosmetology school, right before I made that decision to pursue my passion, I was getting ready to join the military.
Oh,
would have
snap.
completely changed my whole life. And then when I made that decision, I said, well, you know what? I got something to prove to my parents, but also to myself, because my parents was like, we don't want you to go barber school, but if you feel like that's what you want to do, then, do it, but go all the way. So I was there every day, and on my off days from school, I was at work, and I was like, yeah, I got to get this done.
Yeah, man, you got to push through it. That's awesome. So yeah, so I graduate barber school finally, right? With about 2 eras of classmates, because you get close to every era, right? You're like,
how many hours was it for you to get your license?
It was 1,500.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that was that was the same as me when they got
it might be 700 now.
Yeah, they got
it's wild now, man. We had a practical exam. We had
with physical,
a written
exam.
Had to
do a physical.
Yeah, we had a live model, no mannequins, or no like. There's people now they're taking tests with 2 mannequins. I'm like, what's going on right now?
A lot of them not. You did that too?
That's the way it is now.
Well, from what I know, they don't even have mannequins no more. It's just written exams.
Really?
That's wild, man.
Yeah, man. Can you
got it easy.
I don't even know if I would have had the same confidence on a mannequin compared to a live person.
The mannequin is much harder.
Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, the mannequin's no joke.
Yeah, that hair don't even fall right.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
It's not lively.
Did you do a physical shave on a mannequin? You just had to go over the steps, D?
No, we didn't do a shave.
Oh yeah,
you know, with cosmetology, they don't use razors. I do, but
and don't expose it.
Hey, relax.
I'm lying. I was capping.
But yeah, so I finally graduated, right?
Yeah.
I'm out of school. I'm in my first shop, grinding, all walk-ins. There's 7 people waiting at a time. There's only 3 of us. And then my wife finishes her PhD. So now what? She's on the job market, right? So Arizona is like dead last in education. So
really,
we know we weren't going to be there. And so, once again, the world was our oyster. We're on the move, right? And this time we had a child. That's the other layer. My wife was pregnant in barber school as well. So I had that kind of pushing me too at the same time. But we had a newborn, not even a 1-year-old yet. And she got a gig at a private college. It was a 2-year deal in the beginning. But a private school in Northwest Pennsylvania at Allegheny College. And so in my brain, I'm thinking, where am I going to work? What, like, is there any barbershops here? Is this just a cosmetology place? What's going on, right?
Yeah, you're in the barbershop Mecca.
Yeah. Yeah. So we start looking around, and my wife's mentor pointed us in the direction of the salon she got her hair done at. And I'm thinking, salon, I don't know about working at a salon. Like, this isn't what I pictured when I, started this dream. This isn't it. And then it ended up being probably the best situation I could have been in the area I was in, because my boss, shout out to Luke A. Weatherby in Meadville, Pennsylvania. She really swung the bat for me. She like put me in the newspaper. She was delighted to have a barber of my caliber, because there's just 80-year-old barbers there. That's it. And then hairdressers. That's the rest of the market there. So
now at this point, were you bald?
I went through eras of baldness. I did it when I was 23, 25. Rode it through 26, grew it back when I was in barber school, because you're messing around with different styles in barber school. And I shaved it. When did I shave it? I had hair in PA when I got there, and I shaved it one summer, grew it back, and then when we made our next move, which was to where we are now, Atlanta, Georgia, that was part of my stipulation of my wife. It was like, okay, I'll do this one more time, but I'm shaving my head for real permanently now. It's a lifestyle now.
Yeah.
Brady had that choice after 23.
Man, I didn't, man. Jesus took it away. He took the wheels.
Yeah. I was receding. I kind of had that Jason Statham going, like,
handsome Bob. Yeah.
So yeah, man. But yeah, my wife acts like she doesn't remember me saying that. But I definitely said that. So but yeah, so we move to Atlanta, Georgia. Our house is in Decatur. My wife gets a gig. The old college store got decimated from COVID and everything, and end up at this place called the English Barber, and that took me one roll, one chance. I don't enter a barbershop. I don't start working for a place unless that's the place I'm going to work. I'm going to stay at, right? Like I don't like this like diving in shop to shop and then like I like to plant my feet and then express my loyalty to my employers and just build like I'm my own boss, basically. Yeah. So initially I started looking around our house, and barbershops in Atlanta are like very segregated. It's like the all black shop or the all white shop. And then there's kind of no in between really. So that's kind of what I was looking for, something that like had a mix of everybody. I found this spot in Midtown. In the Midtown area, it's a nice, diverse mixture of everybody. And so I was like, here we go. Now I got to pick which one. And then I came across the shop, and I'm like, bam, this has got to be it. This is it for sure.
So the shop is in Atlanta City?
Yeah, it's
because you know folks be claiming that, not you, but folks be claiming Atlanta and they being like Decatur,
the Louvre,
or
it's in like I'm in Midtown Atlanta, so right in the heart, right above downtown. We're in Midtown.
Yeah, and Atlanta is deemed a chocolate city, so I think it's interesting that you found a shop that is diverse.
I thought that was DC. That was chocolate city.
There's several chocolate cities.
Oh. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, Milwaukee is another one. I didn't know that.
The Mecca of barbering, that's for sure.
Yes, definitely.
There's a shortage of barbers in this city.
Yeah, they compete at a high level out there. Yeah, all the trends and stuff start from Atlanta.
No doubt. Yeah, I was super nervous about the prices we're charging too. I was like, oh my God, I have to be perfect. I dealt with like a month off of barbering, dealing with my license, transferring that over.
How was that process, and what did you have to go through?
Oh man, that was one of the lowest parts of my barber career. That was like one of the lowest times because it was taken from me. You know what I mean? I like couldn't work. I couldn't do what I always dreamed to do. Right.
Yeah.
So we just bought a house. We're filling it up with more and more crap. I got a 3-year-old at the time, and it's like, how can people afford to take off a month from work right now? What's going on?
Yeah.
So, just like everything, every barber board's pretty bad and large, right? And a lot of barbers can relate.
Yeah.
They got about 3 people in control of the whole state for barbering, right?
Yeah.
And so I couldn't ever get a hold of the person on my case. She was very elusive. And so they outsourced their phone calls Georgia has reciprocity with Arizona. Pennsylvania does not have reciprocity with Arizona. I would think it would be a lot easier than it was in PA. And in PA, they give me a temporary license. They let me get right to work. And then COVID happens. And then that kind of kept pushing back everything.
Oh, no.
And then so I eventually had to take my written exam in PA, which was a 30 question, just state law test, which nobody told me, of course. I had to find that out for myself because the board ain't telling you anything.
Right.
So I actually failed that the first time out. Went back.
Transfer test? You failed your transfer test?
Yeah, because I was like, oh, it's state law. I was studying skin diseases again. And so I was like, oh, I know Arizona law. It can't be that different, right? And I failed it by like one too many. So I just went back the next week and aced it since I knew what I was getting into.
Yeah.
And I got my license there. And then in Georgia, completely different story. No temporary license. My shop is very by the book. They have a liquor license, obviously, so they don't want to mess around. They don't want to play games with, having illegal people in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm sitting around I'm calling every day. They kept giving me the same spiel, like, please wait, 10 to 15 business days over and over. I tell them, I'm like, I submitted my documents. Do you see it in there? They're like, yeah, you submitted them, right? I'm like, no, I'm asking you, do you see the documents? And they're like, yeah. They just kept like kind of brushing me off because they have no idea what they're doing because that's not their realm. They got to do 17 different things probably. So yeah, I had like incorrect documents uploaded while I'm sitting here waiting on like an answer, and stuff was incorrect the whole time. So once I finally got everything corrected, I drove, talk about taking it, in your hands. I drove to like where the board is physically and demanded answers basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, who's in charge of my case? Like who is the person? And then they said, oh, her name's this. And, apparently she was on vacation. Oh, great time to be on vacation.
Yeah.
Right?
For how long?
Who knows? But so I actually reached out to her on like LinkedIn, Facebook. I was like spamming her. And then all of a sudden, once I started doing that, boom, something happens. So they granted me my license, and I was so grateful to get back to work. Luckily, I didn't have to do like a practical haircut for the shop because normally they do that. They
like
have you audition basically to get in. And my boss at the time was, he just checked out my Instagram and he saw I was a New York Knicks fan. And that kind of,
that's so unfortunate.
Yeah, that kind of made me, bypass that.
He felt bad for you.
He's like, oh, he's a Knicks fan. He's automatically hired.
Yeah, you felt bad. That was a charity case. You were
For
a charity
once, being a Knicks fan came in handy.
That is crazy. Man, he had compassion on you.
Definitely.
Yeah, man.
He said, poor Knicks fan. Like,
Yeah,
he's
man.
not winning anywhere else in life. Let him at least get a job around this place.
My assistant was telling me too. He's like, you're the only one that never had to take a practical in here. I was like, really? So, man, that drove it home right there. And if I did have to take a practical, I was a month out of cutting hair, dude. I would have been a nervous wreck cutting hair in the major league of barbershops, right?
Right.
I went from like the minors to the majors in this place, right? It's just like gold glistening from every corner. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do here? So, yeah, I was super blessed and lucky that I didn't have to go through that. And my very first haircut on my very first day is still my client to this day.
Really?
Yeah. His name's Tristan. I've done some content, plenty of content with him. And he gets
shout out to Tristan.
Yeah, shout out to Tristan, man. He held
True
it down.
day one.
True day one. I think I actually documented that actual haircut too at the time. Because I was slow, I was new, I had some time to make it right. But yeah, he gets like a slick back and then a taper on the sides and back, and yeah,
that's tight.
Yeah, man.
You mentioned some stuff that's really key for barbers to pay attention to when it comes to your perseverance. Like again, like it's another example of your perseverance. The simple fact that when you moved, you had to control or really like take ownership of the fact that you need to get in contact with the state board. You needed to take a test again. You needed to get get somebody to respond to your requests, and if like you did everything that was in your power to do it. And that's one thing that I'm always talking about, is how you have to own your own future, especially in this industry. You can't rely on anybody else to make you successful. Everything that you're going to do, everything that you're going to accomplish, all of the risk and all of the reward is going to be based on your own efforts. So if you don't give the effort necessary to be successful, then you are going to fail because of you. But the way that you went about your example is you took your future in your own hands. You did not stop, you did not rest, you did not relax, you did not get comfortable in the state that your wife was making good money, your wife was moving forward with her career and getting a PhD and getting a job and doing different things. You did not rest. You still said that, hey, okay, I'm moving, I'm gonna have to reset, I'm gonna be in a new barbershop, I'm gonna be in a new environment, and through all of it, I'm still gonna be MattyBladezzz, and I'm coming
Yeah,
through
man.
strong. And so I really commend you, man. I commend you on that, because it's a lot of people will give up when they get any form of resistance
100%.
towards whatever passion they may have, towards whatever goal that they may set in their future. If they get a hurdle, they will get off the track. But
Yeah.
you kept jumping over the hurdles that came to you, that was presented to you by life, and you made your success that you're currently having, the happiness that you have right now. You made it happen by not giving up on your passion, not giving up on your dream, and not succumbing to the pressures of life, but pressing through all of that, man. So again, kudos to MattyBladezzz.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, like rebuilding clientele. Like a lot of people would think that would be the hardest thing to do. And I've already done it 2 times prior to moving here, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of like, I always make the reference, it's kind of like stubbing your toe on your Nintendo 64 or something. And like, or not, the 64 you could save. Like Super Nintendo and like original Nintendo, you couldn't save, right?
Yeah.
So it's like stubbing your toe on your Nintendo and you got to start all over again, but you know the path to get back to where you were, right? So that's kind of how I took it. And I was just being myself and just rebuilding clientele the way I always did before. And that was just providing a good service, being authentic, and just connecting with the people I could connect with, and caring. Just care, man. That's all you got to do sometimes. Just, let people know that you care, and then they will reward you back with their patronage and much more too. But yeah, so like, everything was really, just like tunnel vision and very like, it's, I kind of had to get my city legs back, right? Because I was in a very small town, and like I lived in Phoenix, right? So that was plenty big of a city, knocked down a lot of walls for me. But through COVID and through being that little town, it was kind of like ramp. I was like going 20 miles per hour, and now I'm going 100 all of a sudden again. And it was like that took a little bit to get back in the groove with. And just like this past like winter that just passed, I got a lot of time to kind of just reflect and think about my journey over the last like decade or so. And just, it's just kind of wild how far I've came. And it's, I'm just super grateful that I was blessed along the way in certain situations and moments to where I was able to, to where certain things was made easier for me. And then some things I had to, force the issue to get through, for sure.
If I'm understanding correctly, did you have to build your clientele during COVID?
I was mid build through COVID. So
Wow.
I moved there 2019, and we actually, did we go? Yeah. I'm trying to think if we went to Italy. My wife's from Italy originally.
Oh, wow.
And this may have been after COVID. I can't quite remember, but yeah, I was I was kind of just getting rolling. I was rebuilt my confidence, and I was like starting to build. And I could see a shift happening, and then COVID happens, right? And a lot of people in our industry was losing their mind, right? And a lot of people are way worse situations than I am. Of course, my wife is a professor. She's she earns a good living, and she was able to work at home. And I wasn't worried at all about at least where the industry was going, because I'm like, they're like, oh, people are going to start cutting their own hair. I'm like, let them cut their own hair. Like, I cannot wait for the appreciation on the back end, because this thing's going to be just taking off on the back end. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I, coming out of that, of course, guns a-blazing for sure. Like, everyone was ready to get their hair cut. Everyone was waiting. And yeah, by the end of time, I was in PA. I was booked out a month ahead of time, and finally got them to get into the 21st century. I had online booking by the time I left. And yeah, things were automated a lot more and made it easier for me to where I could go to sleep and wake up with a book full of appointments. So that was a beautiful thing. And it wasn't easy, but we made it through.
That's good, man. So it seems like you built your clientele in a short amount of time that you've been licensed, because you've been licensed for 5 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Every situation I've been in, it's kind of came together pretty fast, luckily.
Were you in shops that had a lot of walk-ins, or were you in shops that put people on your schedule for you? Or were you just a very good people person where you went out there and you were able to get your own clientele? Like, what was your strategy?
Right. It's a little bit of everything. My very first shop, it was walk-ins only. It was just pedal to the floor all the time, and I kind of am grateful for that initial situation in barbering, because it kind of like it's kind of getting thrown to the lions, right? Like, it's the best way to learn.
Yeah.
So it kind of like made me appreciate the appointment layer, because just the running and gunning aspect, kind of built up that early tolerance that you need, because sometimes we get tired as barbers, like we can't handle it physically. So that was kind of a nice initial, tolerance builder physically to handle a load of, appointments or walk-ins or clients. Right. So then the next shop in PA, in the salon, it was a mixture. They would accept walk-ins, but they would also take calls for appointments. And my boss, just like she was, vital in getting clientele for me, she also would be like, hey, take some cards and walk down the block, so I would do that. I would drive around and, meet people through my wife's work too. And just, everyone I would meet, I was proud to tell them I was a barber.
Yeah.
Some people aren't proud to tell people they're barbers. Like, this is what I've always wanted to do. I love it. So that's like one of the first things I'll say, even if it's a little annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
And and then here in Atlanta, it's probably it just all kind of works out, because people book online, they can book on Google, they can call, they can still walk in too if they like. It might not work out, but they're able to walk in. We're not going to be one of these shops that are just like, sorry, but there's a guy available. No, get out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I always let people know, because I work in I have like my own studio suite area, got 2 chairs in there, but sometimes people will walk into the establishment and they'll walk in, and I say, no, man, you're always welcome to walk in. You're always welcome to walk in. You might have to walk back out, but you can walk in.
Yeah, those situations are way different though, right?
Me.
Like the suite, that's a way different ball game. So like, you guys, if there is a walk-in, say you have to make appointments, that I totally understand in the suite situation.
Yeah. But it still should be welcoming.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
yeah,
somebody walks into your studio, if somebody walks into your suite, whether it's 2 chairs, if it's just 1 chair, if your door is unlocked and you allow somebody to walk into your space and you just look at them like, what you doing here? Like, that's
you can't be like, nah, bro, you get out.
Like, why are you here? You don't have no appointment. Like that's not cool. So you should
Yeah.
still be welcoming. They should still feel like they want an appointment with you
Right.
versus you let them know vehemently that, hey, like you're not welcome.
Yeah.
So it
It's
shouldn't
your
be like,
job to educate them how your business operates.
yeah,
So that that's first impressions are everything, right? So you want to
Yeah.
make that first impression something that they feel comfortable coming back into your
yeah,
business.
Yeah. You
yeah.
can't have
One,
that arrogance and be like, I'm
Yeah.
appointment only.
I don't
I
even
don't want.
need any more appointment. Like you can't
Yeah.
act like
Yeah.
that. Like
yeah.
Nah.
you'll
I'm
never
always
know
open
when
to
you'll
new
need
people.
them
Yeah, man, it's
for
crazy
sure.
because we are in this space right now where it's like the barbers just feel like, I don't know, the way that you see it online. Maybe not a lot of, maybe not every barber, but it's just popular opinion to think about yourself over the client,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and that's so against the nature of what we are supposed to do, like what the barber represents in the community, what the barber or the beauty professional is supposed to be to the client. it's
Yeah.
it's supposed to be about them, but
Hmm.
it's turned. I was having a conversation online with one person where he said, he was just like, yeah, I had to fire my client. And I was just like, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. Like
Yeah.
you wanted to end the relationship, but you can't fire somebody that you didn't hire. Like
Yeah.
if you're getting
Right.
paid, you are the employee.
Yeah. You're the
Yeah.
high.
You know what I'm saying? You're the hire. So
They
you
just want to say that. They've been dying to say that.
yeah, and it's like this, but it goes to a mindset. It's a negative
Right.
mindset towards the position that you have for you to feel that you can fire someone that is paying you. That's so
Yeah.
We
that is
think we're in
so
a position of power.
yeah. Yeah,
And I,
and
I think we forget that in this industry, we are servants to the people.
yeah.
And that's not
Yeah.
servant in a bad way, but we serve people in the
Yeah.
community.
Right. To give an
So it,
example, like my one of my weekly clients I have, they come in every single week paying top dollar. I'm gonna hold them above most, right? And I hate to say it like that, but you do in a way, right? So, my daughter had a high fever one time and she's in the ER. And
Mm.
so my wife had her in the ER and I was able to kind of run over there, because that was like downtown. I'm in Midtown. So that's like, under 10 minutes away. Drove down there real quick, make sure everything's settled. You know how most ERs work. You're going to sit there for 3 hours.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, let me run back and take care of my guy, Jason, because he's my weekly guy and I don't want him to get off pace. Right. So I drove back, cut up Jason, left, go back to my family. And I only did it for him. That was the only
Yeah.
person I was going to do that for that day. So
yeah.
But it's those different types of scenarios, like you're saying, where you learn to serve people and meet their needs when you can, and when it's most I shouldn't say most convenient, but when it's mutually beneficial, because you understand the value of the relationship, so you are
Mm,
willing
of
to
course.
be able to accommodate Jason when and somebody else that doesn't treat you with the same amount of respect, you wouldn't do the same. And
Right.
so it's always a relationship.
Yeah,
Your
that
involvement
relationship,
with your clientele is a relationship.
that's what it's all about, man, for sure. That accommodation. I have a weekly guy on Saturday. He's ex-military, right?
Mhm.
So my shift starts at 10 a.m., but Laverick likes to show up at 9:30 every single time, right?
Yeah.
And now I don't even think he expects me to show up that early because he kind of gets in there, gets his coffee, gets settled a little bit, gets a coffee in him, and but I'll still show up at like 9:35, 9:40, you know,
Yeah.
say hi, what's up, my man? Give me 5 seconds, I'll be right for you.
Yeah.
And then we get it rolling about quarter till 10 just about every week, every Saturday morning.
So let me ask you this question, man, to kind of piggyback on this topic that we're talking about. What would you say is your description of customer service? Delmar, I want to hear what your thoughts are too about this, because we are all experienced, like your shop or the Anguish Barber. It sounds like they're about the experience, the fact that they have a full bar, the fact that there's like decorations that kind of make you feel like you in a time warp type of thing. You have a theme behind whatever you guys provide for your clientele. So what are some descriptions of what customer service is for you or for your barbershop, or just that other barbers can kind of feed from thinking about customer service? So
The
yeah,
first
let's
thing
go.
that rings true to me that a lot of the industry struggles with, you got to show up first, right?
Mm,
You can't provide customer service if you're not present. And so that's the number one thing. Show up to work, be on time, and be reliable, and offer your client things that they're not asking for. Offer some things, right?
yeah,
It's like, hey, did you get your drink? Did you get your coffee? Hey, let me take your jacket. Let me hang it up for you, right? Just make things a convenience for your clients. That's the big thing. Like, we live in a world of convenience, right?
yeah,
Like, just add to the convenience to your barber experience. So, those are just simple, things to go by. And that's
yeah. No,
not even getting into providing the service that you're doing. Like, that's just a simple rule of thumb that you will succeed, or at least get the ball rolling every single time in customer service.
I love it. D, what's your thoughts?
When I think about customer service, I think about serving the customer. So sometimes you have to serve with a smile, just and treat people like you would want to be treated. I know how I like to feel when I'm walking into an establishment. I want to be acknowledged. I want to be treated properly. And when you're acknowledged and treated properly, you're more willing to patronize that business. So for me, it's not just about cutting people hair. It's about building those connections. It's about, like Matt said, being reliable, being there for my clients, customers, and also just being somebody that they feel comfortable to talk to. I
Mm,
know, just like yourself, Brad, I'm in a suite setting, and I come from a shop setting, and a lot of my clients who were quiet in the shop, they open up to me now, and they've confided in me about different things that they may be going through in life. And it's, to me, it's amazing to see that, because I'm like, man, I didn't even know you can speak. I didn't even know you had a voice, because they were so quiet in that shop environment. But it goes to show you that everybody's not comfortable speaking out in the open, but being in
yeah,
that setting is closer, is more personal. It's like, man, I can talk to my barber. I got a couple of clients, they refer to me as their therapist. I ain't saying the names, because they tell their boss they gotta go to their therapy session so they can get up early and come to me, and I appreciate that. So yeah, man, I just that's what I think about in terms of customer service.
Yeah. Feeling out your clients is big. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of see their demeanor is a little different. You're like, what's up, man? Talk to me. Come on.
yeah,
What's going on today? And, just that acknowledgement too is big. Like you mentioned, Delmar, like, saying the name of your client when you see him sitting on the couch waiting on you, like,
Mhm.
that's big. You're just walking by, sometimes the assistant can't do everything for you, right? So sometimes I jet up to the front of the shop and grab a few towels for a neck shave or something. And I'm like, hey, Ian, what's up, my man? I'll be right with you. Like, just that little thing's huge.
Mhm.
So, and now, do I know every single name every time? Of course not. That's what my POS is there for. So I tap that thing real quick. I'm like, that's Ian. That's Ian.
Mhm.
Who the hell is this? Who the hell is this?
yeah,
So yeah, there's that. Yeah, but yeah, that's just like, dude, you look like you lost a little weight. Like, you're looking pretty good. And then
Yeah.
that's big, because sometimes you're like, did he lose weight? Like, does he look the same? Like, to me, it looks like he lost weight. And then that happened to me 2 times last week. I was like, damn, my clients are losing weight. Like, I got to get up on it right now.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I was, and they were like, yeah, and they were so appreciative of me mentioning that. Like,
yeah.
they thanked me over and over, like,
Yeah.
both of them. It was kind of wild. So I'm like, man, let's go.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
that type of stuff, matters, man, because you don't know what your clients or customers are dealing with in their everyday life. So the one person that they do come to every week or bi-weekly, whatever the case may be, they feel like, man, this is my time to have my personal time for me, and I also can talk to my barber, especially
Yeah.
if you like, Matt, you seem like a pretty inspirational guy, a guy who is genuine. So, and the same thing with Brad. So when you're a person like that, they feel more intrigued to be able to talk to you and be open. And it
Yeah.
helps them feel better about their day.
Yeah, let them into your life. I told a lot of my clients I just celebrated my daughter's 5th birthday
Yeah.
yesterday, and yeah, and the stresses that went into setting up for that, and who's going to show up, what are we going to do, is everyone going to get along, like, and it ended up being great, and it was a blast, and yeah, so you share that with your clients, and they in turn will share something personal back because you've already opened up that book. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Reciprocity, man. That's the law of
yep,
reciprocity. If you give, you'll get back.
there it
So
is.
with customer service, man, one of the things that I learned was that even your counterparts are customers as well, and you should put yourself in a position to serve them just as much as you serve your clients, because you all create the environment for the clients that come in. So what's not common right now is that barbershops are a team. You see it in certain environments, but a team is not a uniform. A team is a heart, a team is a mind. And if you don't have the mindset to support your fellow barber, to support the other people that are providing the environment that you're in, then you're not doing your best to serve the client that's coming to your chair as an individual. So you want to try and do your best to be a team player, be somebody that's for the establishment just as much as you are for your own profession, your own growth, your own brand, all of that stuff. It matters because your client that will hopefully one day, if you decide to move, they will be able to move with you. You're making an impression on them right now while you are quote unquote hating on the next barber, or you're quote unquote being just not the best co-worker for the team that you're a part of now. Now when you leave, you could do what you need to do, but at the same point in time, when you are with a barbershop, you should you should act as a team player so that the entire shop can win, so that you can win.
Right.
It's everybody is not for themselves, everybody is for the team so that everybody can win. It's almost like what they say, when the ocean rises, all ships rise too.
Yeah.
So if you are putting your 2 cents into the water, then everybody can float. What do y'all think about that?
That's beautifully put. That's the first thing I stress any new barber we get. I just try to do my best to make them feel welcome because we want to keep them. It's very hard to keep barbers, from an owner standpoint. Like, it should work as a machine almost, like just a team. We share clients a lot. A lot of our clients are busy businessmen. They just tap that book first available on Google and they get who they get sometimes. And, it's no hard feelings. Like we understand, like, I'm not going to talk bad on my fellow barber in my shop. Like I'm not going to talk bad about most barbers in general, because I know how hard it is to do
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
and the pain and strife you go through to get there. So, yeah, it's always a team effort. And I'm always, say you're in a situation where you're not able to help your client, you're going to recommend them to a fellow teammate to hold
Yeah.
them down while you're out or unable to service them.
And the law of reciprocity means that they'll do that. They'll do the same
Exactly.
for you.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And I'm one of those guys in our shop. Like I'm one of the first people that people recommend if they're unable to help them.
Yeah.
Go to Matt. He'll take care of you.
Yeah, me coming from the being a barbershop owner, um, our thing was when you come work at MVP, you come and work with us, not for us. Like we wanted you to feel that you were just as much a part of MVP as we are as the owners.
Yeah.
Me and Trey would always throw clients to people who were just starting out in our shop, because at the end of the day, we wanted to see them become successful too. It wasn't just about us and us collecting booth rent from them. It was about all of us growing as a whole. You know,
Yeah.
Right.
you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Yeah.
So
I was lucky enough to all my bosses, especially my very first boss in this industry, was so concerned about building me up. And say it would have went the other way. Say he would have been a piece of crap and didn't care. He just wanted to make his share off of me. You know, it could have soured the industry for me, and maybe I would have went a different direction. So little things like that, you know, people don't forget, and people take that through the rest of their career. So that's big as an owner to build up your you know, your team.
Yeah. Care about their growth, man.
Yeah.
When I first got into the industry, it was dog eat dog. Like the
Yeah.
shop that I was in, man, like
You don't forget
it,
that.
it killed the desire to be a barber. Like you said, it killed it. So if I didn't go to the salon that I moved to, like I was only a year in, so I was still like infancy in this industry, and all of the joy, all of the happiness, it was gone because of the environment that I was in. And so like now they would call it a toxic environment, but it was that. It was all in my system. Like when I would wake up to have to go to work, I would be like, man, I'm not trying to do, and I wouldn't even think about the clients. I'd be like the people, like the coworkers. I did not want to deal with them. I didn't want to deal with the guy that had got out of jail and out of prison, and he was always trying to compete with me for walk-ins. I didn't like the guy that was. Now they might be watching this podcast and know exactly who they are. They might know exactly who they are, but it just wasn't. It wasn't comfortable, man. It wasn't comfortable, and you didn't feel like you can grow. And there are certain people in the industry at this point in time that I'm very, very thankful for, that promote the team environment inside of a barbershop, even though you can set your own prices, even though you can set your own schedule, even though you can do your own thing. It's still, think about the whole unit, man. Think about the whole unit. Don't put yourself on an island when you're a part of the land. Like you're a part of the main. So don't think you're an island. Make sure that you stay attached to the whole so that we can all grow. So I think this has been good, man. I think this has been good. I feel like MattyBladezzz, you add value wherever you go, man. From Phoenix to Tempe, Arizona to Colorado.
StreamYard.
Yeah, to StreamYard to,
man.
to Atlanta.
And one of the things I want to do with the podcast, like, you know, I'm about the little guy sharing the stories for sure, and I'm about the big guy too, the guy that's I've had on both kind of tiers of guests. But you know, I would love, just like we've done now, to build up a barber podcast network that we can all kind of take turns, you know, promote whatever we got going on. Say, you know, barbers write books now. Say we got a book coming out and we want to, you know, share that information. What's the best way we could do it on a barber podcast? I feel like, and, you know, whatever it may be, to spread that word. But, you know, that's what I want to do. I want to get a map out. I've been thinking about this lately. I want to get a map out, print it, physical, circle all of the locations I've had a guest from, and I want to kind of, you know, middle the areas that I haven't done yet. So like, you know, Brad's out in California, Delmar's out in Louisiana. Like I need to find somewhere in like Montana or like somewhere like somewhere in Michigan, somewhere, you know, in that realm. Texas. I haven't done anyone from Texas yet. So I want to do that from a guest standpoint. So that kind of like connects the networks more and more. But, you know, I definitely want to seek out other barbers with podcasts and to let them know it's no competition. It's all love. And it's about spreading this word of, you know, our art and our passion and our, you know, plight and our journey and where we're going next in our future.
Matt, before we take off, I stole this from another podcast. So
go ahead.
If there's one person that you would like to see on our show, but this is the thing, you got to help us get them on, who would it be?
From my catalog or from just anywhere?
Just period.
Man, I mean, Brad's in the Barber Expo mix. He's probably the one that's going to find anyone under the sun there.
I'll try, but who would you like to see?
Yeah, who would you like to see on our show?
On your show, just for my catalog, I'll go off of there's this cat named Zeno. He just goes by Zeno. That's it. Down in Boca Raton, Florida.
Oh, wait. Nope. I'm
he-
thinking of somebody else. I
he
thought I
was-
saw his episode. I was thinking of somebody else. I'm sorry. Keep going.
I think he was
Boca
like
Raton.
episode 26 or so.
So he was recent.
Yeah, it's super recent. He's got a lot going on. He's a dad. He's a real humble dude. He went through a lot of hardships and struggle. He's got a lot of life he lived, and he's got so many things going on, so many partnerships. I got introduced to him from his client that happened to be in Atlanta, and he put us in touch. And the first thing he said was, it's crazy, man. He's got a camera crew. And I was like, what? I'm like, all right. But no, he's just really from just a mental standpoint on his journey and what he's been through. He's a special cat. And he's pointed me to my next guest, actually. He's a guy that works in his shop. He owns a shop in Boca Raton. I believe it's called New Era Barbershop.
Okay.
And this guy that I want to have on as a guest, he's developed a comb and brush combo. He calls it the fade and comb. And he spent like his whole career developing it. So I'm trying to, I got sent one. I've been using it. I used it today, and I want to, bring him on next too. But yeah, Zeno, check out Zeno.
It's like at ZINO.
At Zeno, just type in Zeno on Instagram. It should pop up just from our network.
ZENO.
ZINO.
ZINO. Okay.
Yeah, he's a cool cat.
All right. And last question is about something that's near and dear to my heart.
I know what he about to ask.
He probably does know. But me and you, we kind of spoke a little bit about it, but it has to do with booking.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do with booking, and it has to do with scheduling. It sounds like you've kind of been removed from the process of that from a personal standpoint. Like you don't really think too much about it.
I don't as much.
Yeah.
Like I honestly have enough clients to where they can just hit me up and I can make them an appointment too. Sir, I don't do that with everyone, obviously, but I still have the power. I can go out on the street and talk to someone and book them an appointment too.
But my question is about the software that you may use, not the name of it. Don't tell me the name of it, but just the software that you use. What are some of like the biggest pros to the software that you use? What do you love the most about it? What is it makes it?
I'll tell you one of the cons when the internet goes down.
He went straight to the con.
Not recently, dude. We've been getting like the internet goes down and then we can't like make a transaction. Sometimes it goes in offline mode and it lets us, and then sometimes it doesn't even do that. It's really fickle sometimes. But no, yeah, just like the data collected, just one of the things we like looking at as the barbers that work in the shop, we're able to look at the client's history, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just from are they going to show up or are they going to cancel on me if you realize they're running a couple minutes late? You're like, did this guy no show so-and-so last time? Or let's look at this guy's history real quick. So that's super useful. We're able to pull that up and get that information. And then we're able to see the average amount of money they spend in the shop too. So that's useful. There's a newsletter that gets sent out too. We can kind of see, we kind of let people know drink specials or an event we might be having in the shop or, but that information is super important. But yeah, email, everything. We're able to reach out to them on the app or just with their phone number as well.
All right. Well, you don't seem like you're as passionate about the pros.
No.
So what?
I forgot that last thing I was going to say.
All right. So now, what are some of the major cons? Now, you did mention the offline mode not really working. What about anything else that you feel like, man, like I wish our platform did this? Now, there is one thing that you said that was positive that I'll bring out is the fact that it seems like you all use a cohesive system for the
Yeah.
entire shop so that you can see the relationship that a client has had with everybody versus just what the relationship has been with you as an individual.
No
That's
doubt.
pretty kind of cool.
You're able to see what service they got.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's useful. And the cohesion, the continuity of everything. Like, say my POS stops working, my point of sale system stops. I'm able to go up to Malcolm up front at the bar, and he has like the master system too. And we can check them out there. We can do whatever we need to do to rebook them and everything there. That's another useful thing. You can rebook the client before they leave, and that's one thing I always recommend. At times I would say, hey, you want to go ahead and put it in now just to lock in your spot, or and but probably like 80% of the time they will do that. Some of these guys are flying around everywhere. They're I'm in Taiwan next week, I can't do it. But yeah, it's like I don't know where I will be. So yeah.
All right. So what about some more of the cons?
Utilize. What's that?
What about some of the other cons?
I'm trying to think. Just
you said it so passionately. I thought you had at least 3 off.
No, that's about it, man. I'm a big convenience guy, just like I mentioned earlier with certain things. Like sometimes it can be a little laggy. I'll tap something and I'm waiting for the thing to spin. Like, we kind of grow up. Like I said, I got God's internet. Like if something's not loading, this is kind of frustrating in the times we're in now. So that can be a little, especially if I'm like running behind and I'm trying to tap this button. I got to tap it 17 times before it works.
Yeah.
So that could just be like firmorware updates.
Yeah, that typically happens with MacBooks when
that sounds like an Android issue.
Right. When they're not charged enough.
You ever see that meme? It's like people on Androids and it's like Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And they take a picture. Nah, but yeah, man, I'm trying to think of some other cons with it. Yeah. But
that's good that you don't really have too many cons. I know that there's
connected to our phones too. We got the app. We can always do. That's what I typically do. When I rebook someone, I can't stand that POS to rebook. I'll just pop on my phone and everything will be quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they do you guys have like an app as well as a web version?
Yeah, we can go on the web with it. It's Square to say what company it is.
Oh,
we can go on squareup.com and check out, and even with our payroll, like I just got let me see what this app's called. The Square Team app, I think it's called. Yeah, Square Team. You're able to look at, all your earnings, all this stuff from the year. Yeah. And that's a first for me. This will be the first year I truly, about 95% of my earnings know what I make, aside from cash tips, because everyone tips on card now. Yeah. So that's a useful bit of information I can finally have access to, like in a snap of a finger.
They just did that?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, like, I don't know. Like another barber in the shop's like, you got that app? I'm like, what are you talking about? And you put me on the Square Team app. I'm like, dude, why didn't I know this? Like see your paycheck coming before you know what's coming every week, or before you see, actually see it. So yeah, you can even like do the early cash out thing and they take whatever percent, whatever percent that is. But yeah, sometimes you're in a pinch, you get buy a plane ticket to Italy, you got to register your car in this city. Dude, I spent $1,200 registering my car. $1,200.
What?
Yeah, because that's what Georgia does. They do this thing they call it ad valorem tax or fee. You basically pay all the taxes on your car, on your property up front. So, if you drive anything other than a hoopty, you're going to be spending a grip all at once. And it's BS, but it's done now. It's done now.
Oh, man. Now, there's one extra question. I'm sorry. Because you're someone that values time away from the chair so that you can reset.
Yeah.
You are someone that speaks highly about it. You've done it multiple times. I think the time that me and you first got connected, you had I think you had just got back from Italy or was on your way back or something like that. Like you had just came from a vacation.
Where was I?
You might
Where
have
was
been
I that
COVID.
time?
Where was that at?
I'm trying to remember because
It was like he was out of the country.
Colombia.
It might have been Colombia. It might
Yeah.
have been Colombia.
Yeah, it was
But
Colombia.
look at you, man. You living your life, passport life.
Yeah,
You got
man.
that
No,
passport.
this is all my wife's doing.
But you
Yeah.
still are you on the plane.
Yeah,
You are
I'm
on the plane.
Yeah, my
But-
wife's got research everywhere, so that pulls us away a lot. And
That's
if it
beautiful.
wasn't for her, dude, I honestly wouldn't spend as much time away from the chair because every barber has that anxiety of like, oh, I'm gonna lose my clients, I'm not gonna be able to take care of my guys, and like it's super important to reset. You know, if you grind away over and over every day, day in and day out, you're bound to burn out. You're bound to take a step back, and it honestly makes you grateful for the art that you do in barbering when you do step away. Just like I said, when I couldn't cut for a month, like, oh my God, like I realized how much I need this in my life. So yeah, it's important to step away, and you know, there's things more important than barbering in life. And you have to, you know, be there with your family and, you know, love them and appreciate them. It's super important.
Yeah. One big thing that I got from the Las Vegas Barber Expo, man, it stood out to me. It rang true, and it rang as something that needs to stay in my heart and stay in my mind. Marv, man, I'm gonna keep shouting him out for this. He said, "Don't sacrifice the things that you're sacrificing for." So the time with your family, your loved ones, your friends, you have to be able to make sure that you're not sacrificing them to do the work that you're supposed to be, quote unquote, sacrificing for. Like you got to be able to manage both of those. And sometimes you do have to do it, but being conscious, you have to not keep that life. It's not a lifestyle. Like you just said, barbering is what we do. It's not our life. It can't be your life. It can't be everything in your end all be all, or else you'll never be able to grow outside of the chair. You'll be stuck behind the chair. You'll start to, like you said, get burnt out and get frustrated with the life of being a barber because you don't have no joy outside of why you're doing what you're doing. So you have to take time to reset. You have to take time for yourself at a certain point. And a lot of times that time is going to be spent with people that you love. So and things that you enjoy doing as well. Like you have to know those different things about yourself. So yeah, man, Mac,
Harvey Marv had a real quick. Marv had a heartfelt post about his wife not long ago. Did you guys see that? Yeah, that hit home.
That anniversary.
You know, she's always been really supportive, and you know, throughout his journey and his, you know, his career, and you know, that hit home. And I couldn't do a lot of things, dude, without my wife, you know, kind of urging me and pushing me to go further. You know what I mean? So we've both been really pursuant in our careers over the last, you know, we've been together 8 years now, so it's kind of wild. You know, we've just kind of been going after our careers super hard, and we have a child to raise at the same time. And so it's finally getting to the point to where we're able to, like, you know, calm down, slow down, and, you know, reflect and live our life the way it's meant to be lived. So yeah, that's important.
You got to be able to do that young enough so that you can enjoy it. So many people are, quote unquote, looking for this retirement age, but retirement is just the moment that you are able to work because you want to, not because you have to. And you can do that younger than a lot of people that we looked up to or we grew up underneath. We can do it a lot faster because a lot of money can be made if you know how to do it the right way. So kudos, man. I don't want to hold you no longer. Delmar,
you know, I go long on mine. You guys go a little long on yours, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Delmar, go ahead, close us out, man.
This has been another wonderful episode of the one and only Elevated Barbers Podcast. I'm your co-host, The Prince. My other co-host, Bradford, aka the Business-Minded Barber, and our special guest, MattyBladezzz. We out.
We out.
Peace.
Ciao, ciao, ciao.
1, 2